The rain began as a whisper against the glass towers, soft, almost polite, before turning into a steady curtain that blurred the sharp edges of the city. Armin barely noticed. His world rarely extended beyond schedules and screens. He stepped out of his building, irritation already tightening his jaw. His driver was late. Again. His phone vibrated relentlessly. Investors, assistants, reminders stacked on reminders. Deal worth millions hung in the balance, and every second mattered. Before continuing, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel for more kindness stories. Leave a comment to help me to improve my work. And if you like this story and know someone who is in love, share this story with that person. Let's continue. Without looking up, he raised his hand and flagged the nearest taxi. "Downtown, quickly," he said as he slipped into the back seat. "Yes, sir," came a calm, measured voice. The car pulled away from the curb. At first, everything felt ordinary. The low hum of the engine, the rhythmic swipe of windshield wipers. But slowly, small details began to surface. Things Armin wouldn't normally notice. The interior wasn't pristine, but it was clean, carefully maintained. A folded blanket sat neatly beside the passenger seat. A small bottle of sanitizer rested in the cup holder. And there, attached to the dashboard gently, was a simple drawing, clearly made by a child. Bright colors, uneven lines, a smiling stick figure holding hands with a taller one beneath a scribbled sun. Armin frowned slightly, though not in disapproval, more in curiosity. Traffic thickened ahead. He checked his watch and exhaled sharply. "Of course. I'm sorry," the driver said softly. "There's congestion near the intersection." Armin leaned back, clearly annoyed. "I have a meeting I cannot miss." "I understand," she replied. Her tone wasn't defensive. It wasn't impatient. It carried something else, something steady. For the first time, Armin looked up. In the rearview mirror, he saw her eyes. Tired, yes, but alert, focused. There was a quiet resilience in them, like someone who had already faced more difficult things than traffic. He glanced at the child's drawing again. "Your kid?" he asked. A small pause. "Yes," she said, and this time her voice softened just a little. "My son, Ethan. He likes to draw. He loves it," she replied, a faint smile forming. "He says he'll be an artist one day." Armin gave a distracted nod and returned to his phone, but his focus didn't quite settle the way it usually did. Minutes passed. The rain grew heavier. Cars barely moved. Armin sighed again, louder this time. "This is unbelievable." There was silence for a moment. Then she said gently, "Some delays are harder than others." He looked up again, this time more attentive. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, as if weighing whether to say more. Then quietly, "My son is in the hospital." The words didn't come dramatically. No plea, no expectation, just truth. Armin lowered his phone completely now. "How long?" he asked. 3 weeks, she said. "It feels longer." "What happened?" "He has a rare illness. We didn't know at first. It started small, then suddenly it wasn't." Her hands remained steady on the wheel, but her voice carried the weight of sleepless nights and quiet fear. "I drive whenever I can," she continued, "between visiting hours, late nights, early mornings, whatever fits." Armin shifted slightly in his seat, discomfort creeping in, not from the ride, but from himself. "And the treatment?" he asked. "It's expensive," she said simply. "But he's strong." She smiled then, but it was a different kind of smile. Not light, not easy. It was the kind built from determination. "He always tells me not to worry," she added. Imagine that, a child comforting his mother. Something tightened in Armin's chest. He thought about his own conversations lately. Negotiations, complaints, expectations. Numbers that defined success, deadlines that dictated urgency. And here, in this small car, sat a woman whose entire world revolved around a hospital room, and a child who still found a way to smile. "Do you get any help?" he asked. She shook her head slightly. "A little. Friends sometimes. But mostly, it's just me." The honesty in her voice carried no bitterness, just acceptance. The taxi stopped at a red light. To the right stood a hospital, tall, quiet, glowing faintly through the rain. She glanced at it, just for a second. But in that second, Everything in her expression changed. Strength gave way to longing, composure to love. Armand saw it, really saw it, and something inside him shifted, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough. "Take me there," he said suddenly. She blinked, surprised. "Sir?" "The hospital," he repeated. "I'll handle my meeting." "You don't have to." "I know," he said gently. "I want to." She studied him through the mirror, as if trying to understand what had changed. Then she nodded. They turned. The hospital corridors were quiet, filled with that familiar sterile scent. Armand felt out of place in his tailored suit, his polished shoes echoing softly against the floor. She led the way. Room 214. She paused at the door, taking a breath before entering. Inside, a small boy lay in bed, pale but awake. His eyes lit up instantly. "Mama!" All the fatigue in her vanished as she rushed to him. "Hey, my love." Armand stayed near the doorway at first, unsure. The boy noticed him quickly. "Who's that?" She turned slightly. Friend." Armand stepped closer, offering a warm but careful smile. "Hi." "Hi," the boy replied, studying him with curious eyes. "Are you a doctor?" Armand chuckled softly. "No, just someone passing through." The boy nodded, as if that made perfect sense. They talked for a while, about drawings, about favorite foods, about what the boy wanted to do when he got better. "First thing," he said proudly, "I'm going to run, really fast." His mother laughed quietly. "You already run fast." "Faster," he insisted. Armand listened, and for the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about what came next. He was just there, present. Before leaving, Armand reached into his pocket and handed her a card. "If you're comfortable," he said, "please call me." She looked at it, hesitant. "Why would you help us?" He paused, not because he didn't have an answer, but because the answer felt bigger than words. "Because I think I'd been measuring life the wrong way," he said quietly. The next few months changed everything. Armand didn't just write a check. He showed up. He spoke with doctors. He connected specialists. He quietly covered costs, not just for her son, but for other families he learned about along the way. At first, it felt unfamiliar, unstructured. There were no contracts, no negotiations, just people, and real needs. He began to notice things he had ignored for years, the invisible struggles happening all around him. Meanwhile, the boy grew stronger, slowly, steadily, until one day he ran. Not far, not fast, but enough, and his laughter filled the space like something unstoppable. The woman eventually left driving taxis, not because she forgot where she came from, but because her path had changed. She began working with a small support network that helped families navigate medical crises, something she understood better than anyone. Armand funded it quietly, never attaching his name. He didn't need to, because something deeper had already changed. He still worked, still built, still led, but now he listened to people, to stories, to moments that couldn't be measured in profit. And sometimes when the rain fell against the city's glass, he would think back to that day. The wrong taxi, the unexpected conversation, the small drawing hanging from a mirror. And he would remind himself, perspective doesn't come from looking higher. It comes from finally seeing what's been right in front of you all along. And kindness, real kindness, begins the moment you choose not to look away. At the end, again, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel for more kindness stories. Leave a comment to help me to improve my work. And if you like this story and know someone who needs any kind of help, share this story with that person.